Has this ever happened to you? You know something about yourself, and maybe it's something that's hard or unpleasant, and you know it here, but then there comes this moment in time where all of a sudden you know it down here into your heart and down into your belly, and it freaking explodes. It is like, it's just like, it changes everything. I've been experiencing that as I've been reading this book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, by Jennette McCurdy. One of my 5 beautiful souls, children, got this book for me for Christmas, and I read it through, and for the first time ever, and I know this sounds freaking like, what are you, huh? But I gotta tell ya, there was this absolute knowledge I am struggling with a disordered way of relating to my body, to food, with myself, with others, with higher self, God, love. And I knew that at an intellectual, logical, analytical space. I was even able to help other people. I've got my certification in eating psychology. I mean, I understood the mechanics behind it all. But when I read this book and I felt like I was inside of her journey and her mind, it's like there were things that she said that were so exactly what I was thinking, that when she says, I have bulimia, anorexia, disordered eating, I'm struggling in anxiety and alcohol addiction, it was like it came to life and light to me in a way that I hadn't really received before. It's like I'm walking around going, oh my goodness, I really have struggled in this space of disordered eating. I really have had a lifetime of dissociation from my own body. It's like it came and landed down into the deepest part of my guts. It went from a truth that was kind of out there to a truth that landed down deep into my body. And I'm believing that this is where my deepest healing is going to be occurring then. Because I had this healing that was on paper, but there was one little remnant that was still following me. And as I sat in my meditation chair today, I realized that after I read this book and really owned this truth, that I too have been experiencing this dissociation from body, this disordered way of relating to food and life in general and relationships, that this one thing isn't there anymore. And I'll tell you what that one thing is. Anyway, that's a long introduction. Welcome to Recovering with EnergieGal. My name is Lisa. I'm an holistic wellness coach specializing in disordered eating, eating psychology, anxiety. And I have created this channel specific for those of us who are ready to at least be willing or at least be curious about owning what it is that we are experiencing when it comes to our addiction story. The narrative that we've been clinging to, maybe even unconsciously. So I'm trying to create a safe container for us to experience this integration of body, soul, spirit, come into a more healthy relationship with ourselves, with each other, and with this God, higher self, divine intelligence, and also to re-narrate those stories so that we release the trauma and come into a very free version of ourselves. So I am going to read a little bit from Jennette's book again. I'm going to add a little bit more of my own info, and then I'll give us a little bit of homework. Okay, so I am reading from her book, and I'm going to be reading Chapter 81. This is what it says. Slips are normal. Totally normal, says her therapist. When you have a slip, it's just that, a slip. It doesn't define you. It doesn't make you a failure. The most important thing is that you don't let that slip become a slide, Jeff, my therapist, tells me. And then he hands me a packet titled, Don't Let Slips Become Slides. These packets are a weekly occurrence with Jeff. At the end of every session, he hands me a new one. Usually they include an article, maybe a quiz or two, and some worksheets. I enjoy doing the packets. I like that I'm able to get myself on paper. It simplifies things for me. When everything's in my head, it feels chaotic and jumbled. But when I look down at a sheet of paper and see myself reflected back in words and tallies and graphs, it's clarifying. The packets always reiterate whatever our session was about, so I know today's session is going to be about slips. Jennette, this is going to be one of the most important parts of your recovery. Accepting slips and moving on from them. I nod. People with a propensity for eating disorders tend to be the types of people who get very caught up in their mistakes and struggle to move on from them. Perfectionists. Does that resonate? Yeah. The label's a little annoying, she says, but it resonates. The problem with this is that if we beat ourselves up after a mistake, we add shame onto the guilt and frustration that we already feel about our mistake. That guilt and frustration can be helpful in moving us forward, but shame? Shame always keeps us stuck. It's a paralyzing emotion. When we get caught in a shame spiral, we tend to make more of the same kinds of mistakes that caused us shame in the first place. I nod, catching on. So it makes slips become slides. Jeff points at me with pride. Bingo, he says. Well, I could have done without the bingo, but the point connects with me in a deep and powerful way. I'm realizing how much shame spirals have contributed to my issues. I am so tired of swearing over and over again that this time I'm done for real. Maybe this acceptance of slips is the missing piece. Maybe when I have a slip, I can acknowledge how disappointing and frustrating it is without getting caught in the shame spiral. Without letting that spiral lead to more slips and more slips and more slips until they've become a slide. Maybe now a slip can be, as Jeff says, just that, a slip. The problem is that if we beat ourselves up after a mistake, we add shame onto the guilt and frustration that we already feel. Shame is what keeps us stuck. That's what I realized sitting in my meditation chair today, that I don't feel anymore when I mess up, when I eat something that I was like, I don't feel the shame. All I feel is this, well, I'll do differently next time. I was stressed out. I got overtired. I let myself get over hungry. I've got too many things on my plate, and rather than trying to do all of them, I just decided I would sit down and mindlessly eat. I see that that's what I did now. Okay. But not shaming myself. And that's what I realized. I didn't try to not shame myself. It just started happening as I really sat down and thought, I relate to this girl's story 111%. It's not just knowledge about having disordered relationship with food and self, but it's acknowledging it down into the depths of my core. And I can't make that happen for you. It just happened for me. Maybe it has already happened for you, that it's more than just an understanding, but it is this revelation that sinks down deep into your physical body. And when that happened, I was able to just sit with that and say, okay, so this is really my journey. This is really what I've been experiencing. And so then I can say, okay, this is my experience because of the fucked up life I had when I was a kid. Because shit happens. And so this is what happened because of it. I don't want to shame myself anymore because of that. I'm not trying not to shame myself. There's just nothing to be ashamed of. I'm on a journey of recovering. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What you can expect on your journey. And I wrote down a couple of things. It's going to take time. You know, when you turn on the hot water to, say, draw a bath, it doesn't come out steaming hot. You turn on the hot water and you wait. Put your finger under. No, not quite hot enough yet. No. Oh, no. Oh, it's getting a little warm. And then from warm, it takes a while and it gets hot. It takes time. We are so used to things happening like this. I put my order into Instacart. It's there in less than an hour. I'm in line at the McDonald's and boom, right there. In the next window, I get my food. I don't even wait till I get home. I'm just starting to eat it. You know, we expect things right now. There's no delay of gratification. And what I'm here to tell you is the truth, which is your recovery will take time and you will have slips. But acknowledge that this is your journey and it'll take time. And slips are to be expected. You wouldn't expect a child at 1 year old that is just learning to pull itself up to go run tomorrow's marathon. You need to be just as gentle with yourself and just as patient. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's not like, I remember when I was a kid, rice took like freaking forever to cook, it felt like. Now you can have it cooked, it's instant rice, 1 minute. Guess what? It's not instant healing, you're done. I worked with someone yesterday and I could tell they were a little disappointed because we have met twice. And I had said to him, okay, so I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And I could tell he just was like, I just want to be done. And I said, I know you do, but understand this is the way healing looks. I was thinking about Rocky. Remember the movie Rocky? And you get to see when he works out, he's like, and he's doing his jumping jacks, and and we see a montage of it over about 14 seconds or so, right? And then he's in the ring and he wins. What we don't realize is that montage was actually 6 months or 9 months or 18 months, and there were slips. It was a journey. He didn't get fit in 14 seconds. That was just the collage of little snippets. The other thing I want you to know, it's going to be uncomfortable. Someone said, is it going to be hard? I said, I like to use the word uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. And the one thing I've learned to tell myself is just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean you stop, Lise. When you're starting to self-examine and get introspective and it becomes uncomfortable, let it be uncomfortable. That doesn't mean you stop. It's like 23 miles into the marathon and you're going, oh, this is really freaking uncomfortable. Don't stop. The finish line is coming. Keep going. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's work. You're rewiring. That doesn't happen easily. Breathe through the resistance. Literally. And I'm just going to add one more thing. There'll be plateaus, dry periods, deserts. We've got deserts and we've got oceans, and they both bring their beauty. The way that I look at plateaus, the way that I look at the desert season, more dry season is, it's the perfect time for me to take the stuff that I know as knowledge and actually let it land down into my physical form and become part of my energetic makeup, part of my physical countenance, part of not what I just know, but what I am. There's a part in the Bible where Ezekiel is approached by God, and God says, hey, I want you to eat that scroll that has my word on it. And Ezekiel's like, yeah, but I know what the word says. What do you mean, eat it? And God says, well, I want you to eat it so that it becomes part of you. And then whenever you need to know it, you don't need to turn to a book. You just need to be yourself, because it will have become part of you. And that's what I think these deserts can be, these dry periods of plateaus. It's you coming in and taking all of that head knowledge and making it be part of you. So that was a whole lot for today. We went a little longer than I thought I was going to, but I really wanted to talk about slips, slides. I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey, a little bit about really owning the story and having it become more than something that is a concept, but something that actually is part of your countenance. I think that your homework today would be to pick which one of those really speaks the most to you. It'll take time. It's not like you get hot water right out of the sink immediately. It'll be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean stop. Or there may be some dry times, plateaus, and what that means is eat the scroll. Let the knowledge become part of you. I want you to take one of those three, and I just want you to light a candle, bring out your water, and I want you to sit with that particular aspect of our show today, that particular part of our lesson for today, and see where you feel that in your body and say, I want to have this come down from here and down into a truth that I hold as a vibration in my body. And just your willingness to do that is a lot. And then you drink a couple of sips. And you say, I am healing. I am recovering. I am on my journey. I am. So my name is Lisa, and if I can be of assistance to you on your recovering journey, I've got some links below where you can contact me for some one-on-one. In the meantime, if you would subscribe so we can grow this channel. Also, love your comments. Please, I love interfacing with you. Your likes and your shares. Please share this with others who may benefit from being part of our community. In the meantime, take care of yourself.